नमस्कार दर्शक बंधु मु नम्रता। जीविका बिना जेमिति जीवन असंभव, शिक्षा बिना सेमिति भविष्य गठन मध्य असंभव। मात्र कोरोना महामारी जोगु शिक्षार गाड़ी बहुत प्रभावित होइछि। ता माने नुहे जे स्थिति एमिति बलवत्तर रहिबो। तेणु पिलांक भविष्य गठनर सही गाड़ीर सारथी आज जी ओडिशा साजिछि एवं जी ओडिशा सह ओष्टा मध्य मिलित भावरे अभियान रे सामिल होइछि। फलरे लाइव क्लास जरिया राज्यर अगणित विद्यार्थी को घरे बसी पढ़िबार सुजोग मिलिछि। जी ओडिशा और ओष्टार एमिति मिलित प्रयास जारी रहिबो। प्रतिदिन दक्ष शिक्षक माने पिलांक क्लास नेबे एवं तांको प्रश्नर उत्तर रखिबे। तेबे आसंतु आरंभ करबा आजिर लाइव क्लास। आजिर विषय रहिछि दशम श्रेणी इंग्राजी। क्लास नेबे नवकिशोर साहू सार।
Heartiest congratulations to my dear children who are most loving, who have already treasured their special place in my heart, because I have already been teaching you for the last 2 months. I am just nearing my classes, only one class left besides this particular class of today. So my dear children, as I have already told you, today I will discuss with you particularly about the various types of problems or the difficulties you face in grammar sections. I have already told you your grammar means, particularly I will focus on your functional grammar, that means the book grammar or the textual grammar, as well as the vocabulary and the language work from the 3 important prose topics which have already been included in your syllabi. Please try to understand that it is a syllabus. Remember, course of study is called syllabi. The plural form of syllabus is called syllabi. SYLLABI, not syllabuses. Just like the plural form of a millennium, which is a period of 1000 reports, is called millennia. So simply the plural form of syllabus is called syllabi, not syllabuses. Remember, my children, so today we have to purely concentrate particularly on grammar sections. Grammar section means your functional grammar or book grammar or textual grammar. Another is your textual grammar. Textual grammar means your prose related grammar. Prose related grammar means all about your vocabulary as well as the language work. Yesterday, I just gave you certain types of hints on the 4 important forms of part of speech. Though in English, my dear children, we have 8 parts of speech, but particularly we focus on 4 important part of speech which have their one interpretation or the meanings, and whose meanings you can simply get in your dictionary. Remember, and these 4 important words or the part of speech are called noun, verb, adjective, as well as the adverb. Dear my children, your preposition, your pronoun, your interjection, your conjunction, though they also come in the last phase of your part of speech, I don't give any sorts of importance to them as your content words, because they are no content words, they are no lexical words. Only lexical words are noun, verb, adjective, adverb. Why are they called a lexical word? Because lexical is a term that comes from lexicon. And what is the meaning of lexicon? Lexicon means a dictionary. Remember, so the words having their meanings in a particular dictionary are called lexical words. Lexical words are the words which carry their own meanings, which you can use these words as your important part of speech, and these words you can particularly use these types of lexical words. So lexical word means your noun, verb, adjective, adverb, whose meanings are already there in your different dictionaries. Whatever the dictionary you may consult, whatever the dictionary you may refer to, or whatever the dictionary you may simply apply your mind to. Remember, so lexical words are the words that come from a lexicon. Lexicon means dictionary. So the dictionary related words are called lexical words. Which words are dictionary related words or the lexical words? Only noun, verb, adjective, adverb. Your interjection, conjunction, preposition, pronouns, they don't have their own meanings. Repeatedly I am telling you, please bear such type of things in your mind. Please keep such type of golden rules in your mind. Only 4 important part of speech are lexical words. 4 important part of speech: noun, which is a naming word; verb, which is a doing word or the action word; adjective, which is a qualifying word or a describing word; and adverb, which is still a describing word, telling us how, when, how much, where, etc. Not how much, when, where, how often, where, how, etc. Okay? So these are the lexical words. Today, I don't want to waste your time. You can just call me or you can just give your important calls to me regarding any sorts of problems you particularly face in the grammar section. Grammar section means your textual grammar, that means your book grammar, as well as your functional grammar, that means your big size grammar book, where 10 important topics are already there. So I must welcome you again to the G-Dias, and which is once a combined effort with the OSTA, Odisha School Teachers Association. My first caller, I must welcome my first caller to the G-Dias. Yes, who am I speaking to?
Hello, sir. Namaskar, Jai Jagannath.
Hello, what's your name, my girl?
My name is Priyadarshini.
Priyadarshini, you just tell me your problem. Unfortunately, my girl, you just listen to me. I can't hear you properly. You please speak up. Please speak up. Okay?
Don't be impolite.
Don't be impolite.
Dash your elders.
Impolite dash your elders. That means you just want to tell me, sir, what will be the correct preposition? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Don't be impolite dash your elders. So remember, here impolite is an adjective, yes or no?
Yes.
The noun form of impolite is called impoliteness. And impoliteness is an abstract noun. Impolite is an adjective. Remember. So impolite is followed by preposition to. Don't be impolite to your elders. You just remember the rule. You just try to recall the rule. Certain words in English go with certain prepositions. These are called the fixed preposition. You can never alter them. Even a one word carries so many prepositions. One word. One word means, remember, when I am telling you about the important preposition, remember, certain words go with the certain prepositions. How can? If I say, please be kind to animals, here kind is an adjective. So kind is followed by preposition to. You simply forget about the rest of the sentence. You need not remember the rest of the sentence. You simply focus on the adjective kind. So kind is there. Kind is followed by preposition to. Please be kind to animals. He is kind to the beggars. I am kind to the poor or the mendicants. Mendicant means those who are extremely poor. Remember. So impolite is also followed by to. Kind is also followed by to. Remember. And impolite is followed by to, kind is followed by to. But you should be surprised to know that kind is also followed by of. If kind is followed by to, your adjective kind is also followed by of. But the structure is totally different. Why? It is kind of you to help me. But here, you just look at the structure. Here, the structure of the sentence is completely different. It is kind of you. That means the structure is it, plus be verb, plus kind or any sorts of adjective, plus of, plus noun or pronoun. If you find such type of structure in the sentence, your be verb could be is or was. Is the present be verb, was is the past be verb. It should be kind, it should be gracious, it should be merciful, it should be good. Any sort of adjective you can use. But preposition of should be there if there is a noun or pronoun. What is the example? It is kind of you to help me. It is good of you to remember me. Okay, so impolite is followed by preposition to. So you just remember impolite is followed by to. This is called the word followed by preposition. If certain words comes, only certain fixed preposition should be used. Okay, next caller.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Sir, pranam.
Pranam.
Sir, mo Sasmita Senapati कहूଥିଲି राउरकेलाରୁ.
Sasmita Senapati from Raurkela. Just I am really very much extremely happy because after so many classes, I today got a very fortunate call from Raurkela. Raurkela comes under which districts, my girl?
Sundargarh.
Yes, it comes under the jurisdiction of Sundargarh. Raurkela is the very finest city, one of the finest cities of our state. Okay, you just share your problem with me.
Sir, more doubt.
Yes, what type of doubt you have got? Please tell me.
If you have a wound,
If you have a wound, not wound, it should be pronounced as wound. Yes, if you have a wound, then
you dash
you
to
dash
wash it clean.
you dash
To wash it clean.
to
Bracket ରେ ଅଛି advice.
You just see on the blackboard whether my sentence is correct. if you have a wound, you dash to wash it clean. Okay.
Yes.
Is it the sentence or not?
Yes.
So what is the instruction?
Advice.
Ah.
Correct form of
Yes,
advice.
yes, I know. You just tell me. You have already told me that advice is a word that has been given within the brackets. Okay. So you just want to know what should be the correct tense. Yes or no? You just tell me whether it should be ADVIC or ADVISC. My question is that if within the bracket there should be a noun or there should be a verb.
Noun.
No. Here you require the correct form of advice. So definitely this advice must be a verb. This advice must be a verb because you is the subject. So after subject your verb comes. After subject not your noun comes.
Yes, sir.
So your question is that I have to use the correct tense of advice. Remember, ADVISC, advice is a verb. And how should you utter the word? Advise. But its noun form is advice. ADVIC. Remember, when SE is changed into CE, it becomes a noun.
Noun.
Only a negligible difference is there. If the words end with the suffix SE, it is called verb. But when SE is immediately changed into CE, it becomes a noun. Just like practice, practice. Remember? Practice, practice. Okay. So here your question is that we have to use the correct tense of advice. So if you have a wind, you are advised? Yes or no?
Yes.
If you have a wound, have is the present simple. Yes or no? Which verb? Present simple, have verb. Are advised also present simple, but in the passive construction. So if you have a present simple, you have to also use the present simple. But you have to remember whether the verb should be used in the active or in the passive. Here your passive construction is required. Because you don't give advice to anybody else. Rather, you are advised. So when something is done to the subject or when the subject suffers some action, the sentence becomes passive. So you have to use the verb in the passive form. Are plus past participle. Past participle means it is the verb 3 or the third form of the verb. Then why are advice should be used? There is also a rule there. What is the type of rule? Because this is the general truth. Yes or no? So when a general truth comes, both the if clause and the main clause should have a present simple. If the sun sets, evening comes. Yes or no? Sets, comes. Both are in the present simple. Why? Because the entire conditional sentence. What is the conditional sentence? Your conditional sentence means your if clause as well as the main clause. When if clause is combined with the main clause, it makes a certain condition. So that is why it is called conditional sentence. If your conditional sentence refers to the truth, whatever the truth it may be general truth, it may be universal truth, it may be mathematical truth, it may be scientific truth, it may be habitual truth. So whenever a truth comes, you have to use a present simple. So here have is the present simple, also are advised in the present simple. Though these are advised, these two verbs are used in the passive construction. Understand my point? Next. Hello.
Sir. Hello, sir. Myself Priyadarshini, Bhadra.
Priyadarshini Bhadra. Yesterday you also put up a very interesting question to me. Today also I have got the type of opportunity to interact with you regarding your problem. You just try to spell out your problem or try to just make your problem clear.
Sir, I have 5 questions now.
What is the first question?
Question is, don't allow others to get into the room.
Don't allow others to get into the room.
Yes.
Okay, you just want to know the non-finite verb.
Yes.
How did I know? How did I know that you want to know? Because repeatedly you have been asking me your major problem. That is simply striking your mind. That is about the finite or the non-finite. Why? I have already told you. Again, today I am also telling you, your finite verb is the verb that carries tense. Yes or no?
Yes.
And if there is a single verb in a sentence, that is always finite. But actually in this sentence, we have 3 verbs. Do is the first verb. Allow is the second verb. And to get is the third verb. Yes or no? So what is the first verb do? So this first verb is called the finite verb. Because whether you use do or does, that depends upon the person and number of the subject. So what is the subject hidden here? You. Yes or no? In the imperative sentence, obviously your subject you. And what does you? You is the personal pronoun referring to the second person. Here you is the second person, singular number. So you, if for you have to use do. So if do is the finite verb, definitely you are allow the second verb and to get into, not to get into. These two verbs are called non-finite verbs. Understand my points?
Yes.
Yes, your first verb become finished and the rest verbs are unfinished. What's your second question?
The second question is, please remind the dash Ashok tomorrow. Bracket re phone.
कुछ नहीं. Please. PLZ. PLZ is also the please. Please is the adverb. What type of adverb? It is the sentential adverb. What type of subject is hidden here? Also you. So what type of sentence? Imperative sentence. Imperative sentence comes under which type of sentence? Simple sentence. Yes or no? So
yes.
Please allow. Please remind.
Please remind dash Ashok tomorrow.
Please remind.
Remind dash Ashok tomorrow.
Please remind dash Ashok tomorrow.
Bracket re phone.
Yes. So you just want to know what will be the correct non-finite verb of phone. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Using correct non-finite means using the correct form of the verb. First no. If you have to use the correct non-finite verb, that means you want to use the correct form of the verb. But a correct form of the verb and a correct tense of the verb, totally different. Correct tense means it could be your present, past or future. Correct form means non-finite verb. Yes or no? So,
yes.
You plus stress or give importance to remind. Please remind. So, if the verb remind is there, your next non-finite verb becomes to plus infinitive, to phone. Remind is always followed by to infinitive. Whenever you use a remind, remember certain verbs
Yes.
take to infinitive after them, just like hope, expect, remind, pretend, manage, refuse, forget, continue, etc. Then appear, seem, such type of verbs, promise, resolve, request, advise, hope, expect. Such type of verbs, they commonly go with to infinitive. So whenever remind is there, always use to infinitive. Here remind is the finite verb and to infinitive is the non-finite verb. And this non-finite verb is otherwise known as infinitive. This infinitive is known as to infinitive because it begins with to. Understand?
Yes.
Next.
I am trying dash. Please stop dash. Bracket study talk.
Your question is, I am trying
dash. Bracket study.
Study.
Please stop dash. Bracket
Okay. You remember, you forget about the second sentence. You forget about the second sentence. Because your blank space is in the first sentence. So it has nothing to do with the second sentence. Yes or no? So whenever your verb try comes, the answer should be to also to infinitive. I am trying to study. Just like remind. If your verb remind is there, you use to infinitive. If your verb try is there, also verb to infinitive to study. How many verbs are there? Am is the first verb, trying is the second verb, to study is the third verb. So am the first verb is the finite verb, trying is the non-finite verb, and to study also the non-finite verb. But this non-finite verb is called to infinitive because it begins with to. So whenever try comes, use to infinitive. That's all. Okay. Any other color? Another caller?
Hello, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What's your name, please? You are most welcome to the JIT Studios.
My name is Subram Shekhar Behera from Jatni.
You are Subram Shekhar Behera from which part of our state?
Jatni.
Jatni, mane Khorda Jatni.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You just tell me your question.
Sir, part of speech is a determiner, sir. Part of speech, part no.
Determiner? Aja, what do you know about the determiner?
Sir, I know about more than determiners. More about.
Oh, you just want to just get some more knowledge about determiner. Yes or no?
Yes.
Remember, actually your determiner, this particular grammatical section was there in your class 9th. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. In class 10th, we don't have determiner. But remember, your determiner plays a vital role. Your determiner plays a significant role in English. So which words are called determiner? Remember, your determiners are one type of adjectives. Your determiner are one type of adjectives. Then what are the difference between determiners and adjective? All adjectives are determiners. All determiners are adjective. No. Only those adjectives which determine the noun. The adjectives which determine the noun are called determiners. The adjectives which determine the noun. What do you mean by determine? Determiner means they make the noun specific or particular. Your determiners don't generalize the noun. They make the noun particular. Remember, if I say each student was given a prize, what are the nouns? Prize is a noun, student is a noun. Each student, here each is a demonstrative adjective. So this is a determiner. Prize, before prize, we have used the article A. A is also a determiner. So not all adjectives are determiner. Even all determiners can be adjective. But not all adjectives are a determiner. So what are the determiners? Your noun is the determiner. Wrong. Your article is determiner. Your possessive is determiner. Possessive means your, his, her, my, father's, Ashok's, Abdul's. Okay. Your demonstratives are the determiner. What are the demonstratives? These, that, these, those. Etc. Such, etc. These are the determiners. Your distributive are a determiner. What are the distributive? Either, or, neither, each, every. These are the distributive. Your quantifiers. Quantifiers means a lot of, many, some. These are the determiners. Your cardinal. Cardinal means 1, 2, 3. Your ordinals. From 1, it should be once. From 2, it should be twice. These are the ordinals. So your cardinal, ordinals, article, possessive, demonstrative, your distributive, your quantifier, only these types of adjectives are called determiners, because the main role of the determiner is that they make your certain noun specific or particular. So all adjectives are determiner, but all adjectives are not determiner, but all determiners are adjective. Remember. Next. Another caller. Hello.
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 Sir, namaskar. ମୁଁ ସୁଦର୍ଶନ ବାସ୍ତେ କହୁଥିଲି।
हाँ, from where?
sir, doubt ଥିଲା।
ତୁମେ କୋଉଠୁ କହୁଥିଲ ରେ ବା?
sir, ମୟୂରଭଞ୍ଜ।
ମୟୂରଭଞ୍ଜ। କୁହ ଶୀଘ୍ର କୁହ।
Mr. Ponda is a professor. Language tar bracket ରେ ଦେଇଛି।
हाँ, ଟିକେ क्वेश्चन आउथरे कुह रे पिला। I just can, unfortunately I can't see you better, hear you better.
Mr. Ponda is a dash professor.
क्या कौन है?
Language. Mr. Ponda is dash professor.
हाँ, Mr. Panda is a dash professor. Your question is that within the bracket language is there. What should be the correct form? Yes or no? Aja, you just tell me, professor is a noun, yes or not? Because a professor is a naming word, yes or no? So professor is a noun. So if certain word qualifies a noun, what will be the answer? It should be an adjective, yes or no? The word that modifies or qualifies a noun or pronoun is an adjective. So here language is a noun. So you make the adjective form of noun here. So language means linguistic professor, yes or no? The adjective form of language is called linguistic. This linguistic ends with the suffix IC. So any word ending with the suffix IC becomes an adjective. So Mr. Panda is a linguistic professor. Yes or no? Next. Next question. Any other color?
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Pranam.
Sir, ମୁଁ ଶୋଭନ ତ୍ରିପାଠୀ କହୁଥିଲି ଅନୁଗୁଳରୁ।
ଅନୁଗୁଳ, yes, ତ୍ରିପାଠୀ।
Sir, ମୋର although, though ଆଉ nevertheless ର ଟିକେ ବତେଇଥାନ୍ତୁ।
Though, although, nevertheless, yes or no?
ଆଜ୍ଞା sir.
Yes, ମାନେ I am explaining you with examples, yes or no? Remember, though, although, these two are the subordinators. You can use though in place of although. You can use although in place of though. So when you begin a sentence with though, although, this particular clause is called adverb clause of what? This particular clause is called adverb clause of concession or contrast. So what do you mean by concession or contrast? You first try to know. If I say, though although he is poor, though although he is poor, he is honest. Understand? Though he is poor, he is honest. So though although is the subordinator. So if the clause begins with subordinator, definitely it is the subordinating clause. Yes or no? So this subordinating clause is otherwise known as adverb clause of concession or contrast. First you try to know, Mr. Tripathi, what do you mean by concession or contrast? Concession or contrast means opposite. So what one thinks, if some opposite things comes about, if some opposite meaning comes about, we use though or although. So though although this subordinator is used to refer to the sense of concession or contrast. Contrastance means opposite. And this is the main clause. Yes or no? So now it is a complex sentence. You can use avoid though although by using nevertheless. Nevertheless means but. Remember. So nevertheless means but. You can say he is honest, nevertheless he is poor. He is honest, nevertheless he is poor. So he is honest, nevertheless is the compound sentence. It is the coordinator. Nevertheless means but. So with this, I just get a certain break from all of you, my dear children. After the commercial breaks, I am rejoining you. Till then, you just try to relax yourself and incorporate some maximum questions just to interact with me. Okay? Thanks, my children. Here, my dear children, you are again welcome to the G Studios, and in the last phase of our class, or in the last domain of our class, I also want to interact with you regarding your different types of questions that particularly trouble you in the grammar section. Any other caller, I must welcome to the G Dias. Any other caller from any part of the state? Okay?
Hello sir, namaskar.
Namaskar.
ମୁଁ ତ୍ରିଷା ଶତପଥୀ କହୁଥିଲି ମୟୂରଭଞ୍ଜରୁ।
Trisha Satpathy from Mayurvanj. You are most welcome to the G Dias. Hello, what's your problem?
Sir, this is exactly what you say.
This is exactly what you say. Okay?
What you say रे underline करायचं.
Yes. This is exactly what you say. So here what you say is the subordinating clause. Yes or no?
Mention the function of the noun.
Okay. What is the subordinator? Yes or no? So if what is the subordinator? Definitely it is the subordinating clause. You just tell me, Satpathy, if the subordinating clause begins with any sort of subordinator, that is the subordinating clause. Yes or no? So definitely this is the main clause. Okay? So if there is a main clause and a subordinating clause, definitely we get a complex sentence. Okay? Complex sentence. Now just you want to know this subordinating clause is equal to what type of clause? This subordinating clause is called the noun clause. Yes or no? Why is it a noun clause? In order to get your noun clause, or in order to know that your subordinating clause is a noun clause, you always put a question what to the verb. Yes or no? You put a question what to the verb. What may be the verb in the main clause? Here in the main clause we have the verb is. Now put question what. So what is exactly? What is exactly? The answer is what you mean or what you say. What is exactly? The answer is what you say. So this noun clause function as a complement. Yes or no? This noun clause function as a complement. Complement to what? Complement to this, not this. Complement to this, because this is the subject. The actual subject is this. So complement to this, not complement to is. Remember, because exactly is the adverb. So is the main verb, because this is the single verb in the sentence. If there is a single verb in the sentence, if this is used at the end of the main clause, it could have been complement to the verb. So definitely what you say, this particular subordinating clause or noun clause completes the meaning of this. So that is why this is the subordinating clause or noun clause or a complement to this. So what is this? This is the introductory word. Remember, this is the introductory word, because we use this just to introduce the main clause. And you can also use it. This is exactly means it is exactly. So complement to the subject, this or it. Understand? Next.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Hello, sir. Myself Priyadarshini from Bhadrak.
Priyadarshini from Bhadrak. Again. You are raring or you are anxious to ask me your questions yet. Tell me.
Sir, a plumber is a person who dash.
Okay. A plumber is a person. A plumber is a person. Okay. Who dash? That means you just want to know, sir, you just complete the sentence with a relative clause. Yes or no?
Yes.
So why is it a relative clause? Your relative clause is known as adjective clause. Your adjective qualifies a noun or pronoun. Yes or no? Sure. In order to know that your subordinating clause is a relative clause, remember here who is the subordinator or RP. RP means relative pronoun. You just, Priyadarshini, tell me, when can a subordinator be RP? RP means relative pronoun. Because like an adjective, your relative pronoun is related to a noun or noun phrase. So here a person is a noun phrase. If a person is a noun, here a determiner or article is used before person. So a person is a noun phrase, otherwise known as antecedent. Yes or no? So before the relative clause, there must be a noun or noun phrase, which is otherwise known as antecedent. So who is called a plumber? Now a plumber is a person who mends water pipes. Who mends water pipes. So a person who mends means repairs. Mends means repairs. So a plumber is a person is the main clause, who mends water pipes is the subordinating clause or relative clause or adjective clause, and if you come join these two sentences, you get a complex sentence. Understand? Next.
Hello.
Hello.
Sir, namaskar.
Namaskar.
My name is Satya Prakash Sethi.
Satya Prakash Sethi from Mayurbhanj.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir, I have 3 questions.
You have 3 questions. Okay. Your questions will definitely confuse me. You tell me the question number 1.
He speaks very fluently.
He speaks very fluently. Yes.
Change the exclamatory.
Okay, that's very easy question. So he speaks very. What is this? Fluently is an adverb. Very is also adverb. Yes or no? How can you know that fluently is the adverb? Now, how does he speak? You put the question how. Because speaks is the verb in the present simple. It is also the finite verb. Yes or no? So how does he speak? The answer is fluently. Now, how fluently? The answer is very. So both are adverbs. Very is the adverb, fluent is the adverb. Yes or no? So you just want to make it an exclamatory sentence. So what is an exclamatory? Exclamatory means it makes a sudden surprise. Exclamatory means it denotes the sudden emotion of happiness, pleasure, hatred, admiration, praise, etc. Okay. So if there is an adverb, you always use how. If in your declarative pattern, if there is an adverb, what is the adverb? Fluent is the adverb and very is also the adverb. Fluent is the manner adverb, very is the degree adverb. So please delete very. Please delete means remove very and use how. So how fluently he speaks? Your answer is how fluently he speaks. So please remember the rule. Then put the exclamatory sign. How fluently he speaks means he speaks very fluently. You simply remember, Sethi, you have to omit very, quite, so, such, extremely, such type of intensifiers or degree adverbs. When you remove such type of degree adverbs, only use how. How plus adverb, then the rest of the sentence. That means how fluently, then he speaks. Then put the exclamatory signs. Now you get your exclamatory sentence. Understand? Next question.
Though he was born of poor parents.
Though, you just stop. You just give me some chance. Though he was
born of poor parents.
Poor parents.
He rose the.
Rose.
The greatness.
He rose dash greatness.
The greatness. The greatness.
He rose dash the greatness. That means you just want to tell me that, sir, what should be the appropriate preposition?
No, sir. Main clause or subordinate.
Oh, then he rose to greatness. Not he rose. Actually, you are a little bit mistaken. Actually, though he was born of a poor parent, he rose to greatness. Okay. He rose to greatness is the main clause. What is the main clause in a complex sentence? Main clause is the clause that has its own meaning. Main clause is otherwise known as independent clause or principal clause. The Odia term of main clause is Mukhya Khandavakya, by Pradhan Khandavakya. Okay. But what is the subordinating clause? Though he was born of a poor parents. This clause is the subordinating clause because though is the subordinator. So if the subordinating clause that begins with the subordinator is called a subordinating clause. So if one is the subordinating clause, clearly the next clause is the main clause. And the sentence is complex if you just combine the two clauses. Okay. Next.
If I were you.
If I were you.
Dash.
If I were you. Okay, dash. That means this is the subordinating clause. Yes, sir? Because if is the subordinator. SO. So this subordinating clause is called the conditional clause. Why conditional clause? Because by putting if, we make a condition. So that is why it is the conditional clause or adverb clause of condition. Your adverb clause is of 9 times. So adverb clause of condition. So this is, if this is the adverb clause of condition or subordinating clause or conditional clause, obviously this should be the main clause. So what type of tense is there? OR. In the conditional clause or the subordinating clause, we have used OR. OR is used for imaginary condition, for unreal condition. Because you cannot be, I cannot be you. I only imagine to be like you. Understand? So here OR is the past simple for unreal condition. If OR is used for unreal condition in the if clause, definitely would or could or might should be used in the main clause. If I were you, I would. If I were you, I would do this problem or I would solve this problem. Okay. Only one thing please remember, if OR is there in the subordinating clause, your main clause should have would solve or could solve or might solve. Such type of condition is called unreal or imaginary. Because you only imagine. What do you mean imagine? You only think, but there is no reality in your thoughts. There is no reality in your imagination. There is no reality in your speculation. There is no reality in your mentality. You only think, but your thought is unreal or inappropriate. Remember, so where is there? Next. Next caller.
Hello, sir. Namaskar.
Namaskar.
Sir, my doubt thila.
Kwa?
Gandhi very jealously guarded his character.
Gandhi, but actually this particular sentence, you just put this particular sentence directly from your chapter at the high school, written by M.K. Gandhi. Yes or no?
Yes,
so
sir.
Gandhi very jealously guarded his character. Understand? Okay.
Yes, sir.
So what is your
Sir,
question?
guarded underline dechi. Sir, guarded
Yes,
meaning.
here the verb guarded is underlined. You just want to know its meaning. Okay.
Yes,
So
sir.
Gandhi very jealously said, what is under what part of speech this guarded comes? Definitely it is the main verb used in the past simple, and this is the single verb, means this is the finite verb. If there is a single verb in the sentence, it is definitely the finite verb, and your finite verb has the tense. Yes or no? So you just want to know the meaning of guarded. Guarded means carefully checked for not being lost. Okay. That means Gandhi checked his character carefully because he did not want to lose his character. If he had loosened his character, he would have been a laughing stock. So when you guard something, you become very careful of it. If you guard something, you become very careful so that you cannot lose it. So for the fear of losing something, you guard something. So guard means you become extra careful. You become very attentive so that you can't allow that thing go out of your control or go out of your hand. Understand? Next. Next caller.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, sir. Namaskar.
Namaskar.
I am Sanoj Kumar Pradhan from Sunavada, Koraput.
Saroj Kumar Pradhan from Sunavada, Koraput. Tell me.
I have a question. If I were a king.
If I were a king.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So this is the if clause, yes or no? Because if is the subordinator, I already told you. And this if clause is called the conditional clause or CC, or this is called also the subordinating clause, yes or no? So what will be the main clause? If Pradhan, you just listen to me. In the if clause, OR is used. Just 5 minutes before I explain, OR is used in the if clause for unreal sense. अबास्तव अर्थ रे ओआर व्यवहार करा जाए यार किसी वास्तवता नाही मु जदी राजा हुंती तले तुमे मोर मंत्री हुंता you would be my minister, you would be my minister. Okay, actually I cannot be a king, so you cannot be a minister. It is my wishful thought. Wishful thought means this thought has no reality. It is my false imagination. So when something false comes, it is called unreal condition or imaginary or hypothetical condition. So OR should go with would or might or could. Understand? Next.
Namaskar.
Namaskar. Hello.
My name is Rajesh Kumar Mangwal.
Rajesh Kumar Mangraj.
Mangwal.
Mangwal from Cuttack.
Again, sir.
Tell me.
I have two questions.
You have two questions. You just tell me the first question.
The king said to the dwarf.
The
king said to the dwarf.
The crew.
The king said to the dwarf.
What is that particular noun? To the girl.
King. King. K-I-N-G. King.
Oh, the king. The king said to the god.
Dwarf. Dwarf Brahmana.
Oh, the king said to the dwarf. Okay.
Comma.
Comma, inverted comma. That means direct speech.
Again.
The king said to the dwarf.
How could you help me?
How could you help me?
For my support.
How could you help me for my support? Okay.
In your high time.
For my support. In your
high time.
In your
high time.
In your high time.
Again, sir.
Okay. Achha, what do you mean by high time? Tell me.
Critical time.
When the time is critical, when the time is troubled, when the time is disturbing, when the time is serious, it is called high time. How could you help me for my support in your high time? So now we have the interrogative sign at the end of the direct speech. Yes or no, Mangwal? So interrogative means you are said to be, should be replaced by asked. Yes or no? I have already told you. So the king asked the dwarf. Then your direct speech begins with the interrogative pronoun how. Just retain it. How. Then you should be changed into he. He means the dwarf. Jagu Baman kaucha. How he could. Okay. Help. Then me. Me means him. Then support. For his support. My support means for his support. In his high time. Okay. Only your pronoun or possessive adjective should be changed. One thing for the question mark said to be replaced by asked. Then how, then you subject should be replaced by he, then could help me should be replaced by him, my should be replaced by his, yours should be replaced by his. Only pronoun and possessive adjective needs to be changed in the indirect speech. But the important thing is that for the interrogative question, for the question mark, you have to replace a said to into asked in the indirect speech. Okay. Next. Hello. Any other caller? Hello. Hello. We have different sections of grammars I am simply dealing with for your better understanding of the grammar sections. This grammar section comes not only from the vocabulary language work, also from the functional grammar or the book grammar, my dear children. We are simply going to end with the time. Our time is fast running out of my hands. If you have still certain types of problems in grammar as well as translation, you just can share freely with me. Any other problem? Another caller.
Hello, sir. Namaskar.
Namaskar.
Myself, Somarini Dhar from Bhadrak.
Bhadrak.
Yes, sir. Sir, I have two questions.
You have two questions. Please tell me the first one.
Forest is the home of animals. Forest is the home of animals.
Forest is the home of animals.
Yes, sir.
Then?
Home thode underline.
Here home is the underline. You just want to know that how home should be changed into verb. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Here home is a noun. If home is a noun, you want to change into a verb. Yes or no?
Yes,
so how can you change the sentence into another sentence keeping home or keeping the meaning of the sentence intact? That means you have not to change the meaning. Keeping the meaning intact means you have not to change the meaning, but you have to use home as a verb. So definitely forest homes animals. Forest homes animals. Forest homes animals means forest is the home of animals. So here home is a noun, here homes is a verb in the present simple tense. If there is be or is, you have to use present simple. If there is was, you have to use homed. As per the tense, if the present simple is there, home should be there. If past simple is there, home should be there. So if forest is the home of animals, your forest homes animals. Understand? Next question.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My first question is, what did you do?
What did you do?
Change the voice.
What did you
Do.
do? That means I have to change this sentence into passive. Yes or no? Remember, what is the object? Do you know what is the object? In most of the actives, your object or karma, the Odia term is karma, that is mandatory, that is necessary. But the problem is that where is the object? Remember, here what is the actually object? And did do, these two verbs are in the past simple. These verbs are in the past simple. And actually you is the subject. Yes or no? So what did you do? What is the object? Did do. These two verbs are in the past simple, where did is the first verb, that is called finite verb. Do is the second verb, that is called the non-finite verb or bare infinitive. You is the subject. Okay? The answer is very simple. You just try to retain this WH word or the object. What is the passive? Passive means what? Then it did do in the past simple. So if the verbs are in the past simple, definitely what are the two past simple auxiliary verbs? Was and were. Yes or no? So was should be used. So what was? Then do should be changed into past participle as a done. Done is the past participle or verb 3. Again, what was done by you? What did you do? So the answer is what was done by you? Over. Next.
Next, please close the door.
Please close the door. Yes.
Change the voice.
Very simple. Please close the door or shut the door. Okay. So before attempting the passive, first you have to know whether in which pattern of the sentence. What is the pattern of the sentence? The sentence is imperative. Yes or no?
Yes.
What is called imperative? If the sentence denotes order, advice, request, suggestion, prayer, etc., such type of simple sentence is called imperative. And what is the subject that is specially omitted? You. So please close the door means if the pattern is imperative in the active voice, in the passive voice, you simply begin with let. And what is the object? The door is the object. Now let the door. Okay. Just like cross multiplication, then be. Then your main verb is the close. So main verb should be changed into past participle. That is main verb is equal to PP. So let the door be closed. Same meaning. Your passive active means only as per the structure we have to change the active into passive. Otherwise, in the active and passive, your meaning should not be changed. What is called active? When the subject like an actor does something. Here something is object. What is passive? Now when something is done to the subject does not do, rather the subject is done. That is why passive. So here the door is being closed. Actually, the door is not closed. act of closing is being done to the subject, the door. Here the door is the object, but here the door is the subject. Objects change into subject. And when the subject does something, it is active. When something is done to the subject, it is passive. So the structure is let plus subject plus be plus pp. Let the door be closed. Okay, my dear children, I am really very happy that I'm really extremely pleased because you put me lots of questions, and I hope that you must have understood my explanations. If certain types of problems still persist in your mind, I am left with only one class that I just going to wrap up in the next Monday. In the next Monday, it will be my ultimate or the eventual or the last class. In the last class, you are most welcome to the GDIS again, and right from the beginning of the class at 12 p.m. sharp, you can ask me as many questions as possible, particularly not only from grammar, but also from your translation. Because certain types of problems are there also in the translation, obviously. So you can put me very interesting questions on translation. It's my earnest request to you, as it will be my last class. So you just keep many questions, as many questions are possible prepared with you, and frankly ask or share these questions with me. Till then, I am just bidding farewell from all of you. I just pray to Lord Jagannath that Jagannath may kindly shower all his blessings to all of you, my dear children. With this, I just conclude my class today. Many, many thanks to you, my dear children. With this, I just come to an end of today's class. Okay? Many, many thanks once again.